You're welcome in today's lesson. Today I want us to look at what's called cell referencing or cell references. First of all, a cell reference simply refers to a name or the location given to the cell. For example, here you can look at our spreadsheet, and in this spreadsheet we have rows and columns. Where a row and a column meet is what we call a cell. Now, each cell is given a particular name. Each cell is given a name, and the name is derived from the column letter and the row number. And that's what we call a cell reference. For example, where my cursor is, that cell reference is called D4. You look at the column letter, then the row number. So that's what we call cell reference. Now, there are three types of cell referencing. There is relative cell referencing, absolute cell referencing, and mixed cell referencing. I'm going to dwell on two. That is relative cell referencing and the absolute cell referencing. Let me begin with absolute cell referencing. Absolute cell referencing refers to cell referencing that will always change when a formula is copied to another cell. For example, I have here some data I've entered here, and I'm going to do the addition. So I'm going to have equal this cell here containing 20 plus this cell containing 30. When I press enter key, it will give me 50. Then to get the addition for the rest, I simply copy or autofill this formula. So autofilling the formula is the same as copying the formula. So you can see here I had A1 plus B1. But after copying this very formula A1 plus B1 to the next cell, it now changes to A2 plus B2. After changing it or copying it to the next cell, which is cell C3, it now becomes A3 plus B3. That's what we call relative cell referencing. A formula or cell or reference that changes when a formula is copied. Then we have absolute, does not change. The cell does not change even if you copy to the next formula. For example, I have maybe 30% in that cell, and here I want to get 30% of this value here. So it means I'm going to use this 30% times this 50 times 75 times but here I'm going to have a cell where 30% is located, and I will do multiply by the first one here, and then it will give me the answer. But when I try to copy it to the next one here, you can see I will be getting 0, 0, 0. Why? Because I'm using a relative cell reference. Let us look at it. When you look at here, you have B7, which is this one here, times C1, which is that. When you come here, it has now changed to B8, which is this cell, times C2. So you can see that. But our B8 has nothing. That's why we are seeing 0. Now we want to fix this cell here, this cell B7, to be used for all of these ones here, to multiply all this total here. Now we introduce in what we call absolute cell reference. How do we use absolute cell reference? By introducing in a dollar symbol, and this is what we do. Equal, then we have 30%, which is located on B7. Then before doing anything, make it absolute by fixing it with the dollar symbol. How do we fix it? Simply just on your keyboard you can press F4 F4, that function key called F4. So there I have fixed it. It will not change, it will remain in that. Times the first one, which is 50, and I will get 15. But when I come and copy this, or autofill, it will give me the answers. Why? When I come to the next one, still I have my B7, but fixed. When I come to the next one here, still I have B7, but fixed. So that's what we call absolute cell reference. Let us look at more example on how to use the absolute cell reference. Here, below is a spreadsheet showing employees record, Blueprint Limited in Mukono district. You are required to open a suitable application program and enter the data below exactly as it appears, maintaining the respective cell addresses. Save it as a absolute day book, and we have our work here that we are going to type. We have our table there containing work. So when you look at the formatting here, please, they have said the way it appears. So the way they have formatted it is also the way you are supposed to format. So Blueprint Limited employees record has been merged and centered. And what has been merged and centered? A1 up to H1. So it means you're also going to do that. Let me remove this. You can also select from A1 up to H1. Then under alignment, merge and center, click on it. Then you type in the title, which is Blueprint Limited employees records. There you have formatted it the way it is appearing on our question paper. Then next, there is a name, basic pay, transport allowance. Now when you look at the transport allowance, night duty allowance, you have within a cell, there are two lines. Within a cell, there are two lines. We can make that using a feature called wrap text. So what we are going to do, we are going to wrap these cells here. So what you do, you'll also go back, select from A2 up to H2. Now this time we are not merging, but we are wrapping the text. We are making the content within that cell to be visible on multiple lines. So you click on that. Then you can go ahead and begin typing. There is a name. There is the basic pay. There is transport allowance. Now the transport allowance is now appearing in 3 lines. To make it appear in 2 lines, you just expand that cell a bit, and you can now see it is on 2 lines, but within one cell. Then there is this gap here. You can reduce on it a bit. Reduce it. Then the next one, you have night duty allowance. Night duty allowance. Now looking at our question here, night duty allowance must also be in 2 lines. So you go back and expand this so that you have 2 lines like that. Then until you are done with all of them, and you make the entry. Let's now continue. I have that already here. Now the next one, they have given us the additional information. Gross pay is equivalent of basic pay plus all allowances. Net pay is a function of gross pay minus tax. Then using absolute cell referencing, calculate the revenue tax for all employees, having in mind that it is 10% of the basic pay. So we are going to get revenue tax, which is this one here, and is a 10% of the basic pay. But remember, the 10% you are going to use is already located on a particular cell. Therefore, we don't expect you to use the 10% here. We use the cell address or the cell location where 10% is. So it means we are going to have equal, then the 10%, which is now that cell D11. then times the basic pay. And I want to tell you the first one will be very correct. When you come and copy these other ones here, they will give you 0, 0, 0. Why? Because you have used a relative cell referencing. So what you do, you make sure you use absolute. You fixed this cell here to be used for all these people. So that means that we are going to have equal the 10%, which is the D11. Then before going anywhere, you fix it using dollar symbol by pressing on F4. There it means you have fixed that cell. It will be used for all the basic pay. Then times our first basic pay, which is that, and when you press enter key, it gives you that. And now when you autofill it, you will no longer see the zeros. Then the next question here is telling us to calculate the gross pay. But when you look at the additional information, gross pay is equivalent of basic pay plus allowances. So our gross pay, we shall have equal basic pay, which is the first one there, minus minus gross pay equivalent of basic pay plus. So plus all the allowances. We have the first allowance there plus the second allowance there. If we had another allowance, you keep on adding. Then we shall have that. Just come and autofill. Then the next one is to calculate the net pay. And still under additional information, they are telling us that net pay is a function of gross pay minus tax. So equal gross pay minus tax. And you can go ahead and autofill it. So that's our net pay. Then next we had in total rows. What is our question? Next here, in total rows, compute the totals for all the columns having currencies. So we are going to have our total down here. We can have our total there, total. Then we are going to compute total for all columns with the currencies. It means with the money. So the first one, I'm getting the total basic pay equal the first one plus the second one plus the third one plus next one plus next plus next. So I'm using a formula there. After press enter key. Now what I'm going to do, since I'm going to get total for this, total for this, total for this up to here, I don't waste time again coming for transport allowance. So what I'm going to do, I'm also going to autofill, but this time horizontally after that, and you will be able to get your total pay. Then also, before we forget, there is a border, so we can apply borders to all our work. So under font group, you have borders here, and you apply all borders. Then lastly, under this, they wanted us to add the name and index number as the right aligned footer. So to do that, you simply click on insert. Then you look for the group called text. Under text, there is for header and footer. When you click on it, the header section will be created together with the footer section. So you can scroll down and you will see the click to add the footer. That's the footer section. But here we have the first box here, another box here, another one here. This one is for left aligning, centering, and lastly that one is for right aligning. And for this case, they want the right aligned footer, your name and the index number. So my name is that. I'm assuming that my index number is maybe 404. And there I can click anywhere within my work and I'm done. So when I go back to my work, you can see. Now for this case, my work is appearing on one page. If it was on 2 pages, then you simply come and click on page layout, orientation, and change it to landscape. But for this case, we don't need to do that. Then lastly, you print by clicking on file. After clicking on file, there is a print, and you will see the print preview here. Then you send it to a printer. So that's all about this lesson. Thank you so much. Let's meet in the next lesson.